Hello everyone and welcome to our Google Slides crash course. Today we're going to explore how to create engaging professional presentations using Google Slides. From the very basics to some handy advanced tips, by the end of this session, you'll not only be comfortable with the interface, but also ready to design and share presentations that captivate your audience. Let's start by taking a quick look at how to access Google Slides. To access our Google Slides, we're going to open up a web browser. I'm going to use Google Chrome today. Once you open up Google Chrome, you may have to sign into your Google account. As you can see, I'm actually already signed in right here. If you weren't signed in, it would ask you to. Now I can go over to my Google Apps. You'll see the app launcher. And once you click into that app launcher, you'll see all the different apps you have access to, whether you're using Gmail or you want to access YouTube or even just have a meeting. So once you click in there, yours may look a little different than mine. They could be in all different orders. You can switch the order by clicking and dragging. I like mine in this order. And this is where you'll see Google Slides. And we're going to give that a click. Now, once you click on that, what's going to happen is it's going to open up to the landing page. This is where we can see presentations we've been recently working on. This is where we can also start a new blank presentation, or you can use a couple of different options that Google has created for you in the form of templates. So if you don't know what design you want, you're more than welcome to quickly go and grab that template. Now, what I love so much about this is that not only can you just go to the app, try to find it, and then click, there's actually another way to start a blank presentation right away. It's a fun little trick here. That if you just open up Google Chrome, you can just type in slides.new. You can do this with anything that's Google. So if you want to open up a Google Sheet, you would do sheet.new, and it would open up a brand new blank worksheet. Or doc.new would open up a blank document. So we'll type in slides.new, and when you press enter, it opens up straight into a blank document. Now, a couple things we'll go over for the interface is, first off, we have different menus here. We have the file menu and then all of the different tools, whether you want to create a new presentation or open a previous one, import, or even make a copy of this one. We have editing menus, view menus where we can view different modes, insert, where we can insert objects like images or shapes or text box, formatting, where we can change the appearance of our content, slide, where we can see new slides we can add, templates if we want to still use them, we can change the background of the slide, arrange, where we can order things and shapes and different text and content, tools like spell check, dictation, Q&A. We even have some extensions. You might not see these, you might not have any, I just have one here. And then also help, if you ever need help for searching certain menus, because there is a lot going on here, or maybe you just want some help on slides itself, or even training that they offer. You have everything in these different menus here. Underneath those menus, we also have a quick access toolbar, where we have some of the most popular objects from these menus and popular commands in this quick access. So you'll see, for instance, we have like theme or transition. We have things like printing, right? Or adding a new slide. And even though we already have those options here, like print or inserting a new slide, right? They have them here in the quick access. That way you don't have to go searching through those menus. Underneath our quick access, we'll see over here, we have a little bit of a layout where it shows us this is the slide we're working on. And it'll showcase all the different slides the more you add. And then, of course, that slide is going to be in an edited mode right here, where you can start to add content to your slides or even speaker notes to your slides. Now, when you first open up Google Slides, it may offer you to use some of these templates. These are newer templates they've been working on, so they're very excited to offer these to you. And if you want to quickly use these, you can. Or if you want to create your own designs, you can do that as well. If you want to close this out, just click the X. and then you'll have more room to really concentrate on the slides that you're working on. A couple other things about this interface. In the top left-hand corner, you'll see you can name the presentation, and you can even favorite it if this is one of your favorites, or maybe you're working on a lot of different things, but you want to find this particular presentation quickly. And then in the top right-hand corner, we have comments, where we can show comments and collaborate with coworkers. We have join. You can join a call or present this presentation in a call right away in a Google Meet. Or you can just present it as a slideshow if you're just sharing your screen. And you can click the drop down. You can do a presenter view where you can see all of your notes and audience questions. You can start this from the beginning. You can present it using the Chromecast, or even present it using display options. You also have the ability to share this file if you want to copy the link, or just share it to an individual person. Now, another thing that's great is that you are signed in. So if you ever do need to sign into another account, or maybe you just want to switch accounts or hide more accounts, you're more than welcome to. You can also see how much space that you have to really fill up all of your presentations. I don't think we'll ever reach that because there's only 15 gigabytes, but you'll see here that we have also, once you save it, the last time we edited it, and we'll see all of the version histories. So that's pretty cool. We have so many tools that we can start to utilize in Google Slides. So let's take a moment to familiarize ourselves with this interface. And then when we come back, we'll get into actually creating some content for our slides. Now that we know a little bit more about the interface, the next thing we're going to talk about is creating and customizing our slides. I'm going to show you how we can add in more slides. So right now we have a default that comes with every single presentation. It is the title slide. So we can quickly put information here about what the presentation is going to be about. So if I want to add another slide, you can click the little plus icon on our quick access toolbar. But what this does is it automatically assumes that we want a title and content slide. Now this is great because usually this is the go-to to actually put in what we're going to be talking about, and then also to put in our content. But if you didn't really like this slide, you can always go over to the slide menu and go to apply layout. You'll see here there are a ton of different layouts that we have access to. Another title slide if we wanted to, section header if we want to switch the topic we're talking about, title and body where we can put in the topic and information about the topic, title in 2 columns, have a title only, maybe you want to do like charts here, a 1-column text with maybe a title, some content, and then maybe an image, or even just a main point, section and title, captions. They have other options as well. So as we go through this, you can determine on what kind of slides you want. If you're not sure what kind of slides you want, and you don't want to use any of those predetermined layouts, you can always make your own layouts by clicking a blank slide and then inserting different text box, or maybe you want to insert images or shapes or multimedia into your own slides. But it's really nice that Google gives us those different layouts that we can quickly switch to if we wanted to. Let's say we do want to just use their one layout here, title and body. First thing I want to do is access my title and just talk about whatever we want to talk about. Let's say for this presentation, I'm going to be talking about nanotechnology. Right? We can say understanding, give it a nice title, nanotechnology. You can also give it a nice little subtitle if you wanted to. Maybe I'm going to say exploring the basics and uses of nanotechnology. I think that looks good. Now, of course, this is still pretty boring. There's no designs or anything, and we're going to talk about all of that in a moment. But let's get started by entering now some content. about this. Maybe you want to do like an agenda, or maybe you want to just jump right into nanotechnology. I always find that putting in an agenda allows people to understand what's going to be going over in the presentations. I do like doing that. You don't have to, but I think it's a good idea. So I'm going to put in agenda of the presentation. And the first thing we'll probably talk about is defining what is nanotechnology. The second thing would be maybe the types of nanomaterial that there are. And at this point, you'll see that there's no bullets or anything. We're just creating just some topics here. But if you did want to do some bulleted points, you're more than welcome to select these. Go over to your quick access toolbar towards the right and turn it into a bulleted or a numbered list. I do like using bulleted lists for the agenda, just like that. Now, if there is another bullet that comes in, that's okay. You could just backspace it. And we're just going to do another one here. And then click on the bullet again. And now we can go in and put in our third topic for this presentation, which will be, what are the applications of using nanotechnology? And we have a nice little agenda. Now, as I said before, we could have started off with a blank slide and we could have just added in text boxes, which I'll show you in a moment. But using these layouts, they're already predefined. The best part about them, though, is you don't have to just keep them the way that Google gave it to us. We can go in and we can make this text box a little shorter if we wanted to. We can move these text boxes around. Maybe I'll bring it down a little bit, make this shorter. And there's all different ways that we can now go about editing the way the slide looks. So even though it starts us off with a nice layout, we can switch things around anytime we like. So now we have our agenda presentation. The next thing we'll go over is how we can actually add in content of our own, whether we want to add text box, or maybe we want to add imagery, or maybe shapes. We can do that using our actual insert, where we have images, text box, shapes, diagrams, tables, charts, lines, word art, or even videos and audio. So take a moment, try this out on your own with the layouts, and then when we come back, we'll insert some content. Now that we have one slide getting ready to go, maybe what I want to do is add in some designs or images to this. So what you can do is go to the Insert tab and insert whatever you like. For this one, maybe I want to insert an image. You can either upload from the computer or even search the web or use GIFs or stickers. I'm going to use search the web, and I'm just going to type in something like nanotechnology and see what it comes up with. And there's a ton of different images here that we can use. So taking a look, let's go with, I'm going to just split this apart, see if we come up with any other images. Sure, why not this one? This one looks good. So we can go with this and click Insert. Once we do that, you'll see we have our image where we can manipulate it, make it bigger or smaller. And what I want to do in this case is I'm actually going to bound this image just like this and make it a little bigger like that. And now we have a nice little representation of agenda presentation, right? So you can use this any way you want. You can do a fully bound if you wanted to. If you're like, I don't really like the look of that, you can always change it as well. You can also, if you wanted to, just resize this and then get into some formatting options. So right up top, whenever you insert an object, you get more options for that object. You can replace the image, you can crop the image, you can reinsert or reset the image, or even format the options like size, position, recolor, adjustment, drop shadows, reflections, anything you like. But I think this looks okay. And then we can just keep it right there. Now I'm going to also add in another new slide. For this slide, I'm going to create my own layout. So once again, I'll go to Slide, I'll go to, let's say, Apply Layout, and choose Blank. I want it to be blank, that way I can focus on really creating what I want here. So for the next one, we've talked about the agenda, now we'll talk about the basic concepts of nanotechnology. So I'll go over to the Insert tab, and I'll enter the text box. I want the text over here. I'm going to do a nice little title, and I'm going to say definition and basic concepts. I'm then going to make that bold and maybe a little bigger. And I'm just using my quick access toolbar. Remember, whenever you add an object in, you can then manipulate the format or the appearance of it by using this. I'm going to make this a little bigger, like maybe 28. That looks good. And then I'm going to insert another text box underneath it where all of my content will go. The first thing will be, what is nanotechnology? And then I'll have a little description about what it is. We'll also talk about applications, right, for nanotechnology. And then enhanced properties of nanotechnology. Now, what I always tell people, I know there's not much going on this, is when we're presenting, we don't want to put all of the content on the slides. That's going to leave the presentation pretty boring because then they're going to just read your slides. We want to use Google Slides more as a tool for us. So we want to stay on track. What is nanotechnology? Then I'll talk about it. Applications of nanotechnology? Then I'll talk about it. The great way of doing this is to actually put all of your notes, you can click and drag right here, in your speaker notes. That way I can start saying what nanotechnology is. That way when I'm presenting, when we get into presenter view, I have all my notes in that one section and I can just recall them. So now I'm going to just say nanotechnology is the science of manipulating. Manipulating will say matter on an atomic, we'll say an atomic and molecular scale. That sounds good. Nice and fancy. Then I'll add more notes about applications of nanotechnology. So we'll say it has various applications in various fields. Or maybe we don't want to say various 2 times. We'll say it has many applications in various fields, such as medicine, electronics, and materials science. That works. I'll then put in some notes about enhanced properties. I'll say when we manipulate materials at the nanoscale, researchers can develop substances, we'll say, with improved characteristics, like strength, conductivity, and reactivity. And there we go. So now we have some notes. So later on, what I'll do is I'll say defining the basic concepts. We'll talk about how we can then add automation to these, and then we can talk to each point. And it's nice to have your notes in there. So the next thing I want to add now that we have all of this, is maybe a nice little image. I'm going to put these over to the right. Maybe this one a little more on the same side as that. Perfect. And then I'll add an image here, and we can search for, once again, any type of image. I'm going to do just nanoscience. Let's see what it comes up with. I'll go to Insert again, and then we'll go to Image, and we'll search online. We'll say nanoscale, something like that. Let's see if they can give us better images here. And they have a ton of different images you can utilize. For this one, let's go with this. And look at that. I think that looks great, right? Nice little slide that we created on our own. So we can take that. You can make it a little smaller or bigger, however you like. I'll make this a little smaller. And the reason why is because later on we're going to do a fun little design, because these slides are still boring, right? We have here all the great content, but there's no design to them. So after we put our content in, and I think this is enough content for now, we can then go in and start to add in those designs. Now, I like to use the slide master for this, right? So if we go to our view, you'll see here they have like theme builders. That is our slide master in Google Slides. If you go to a theme builder, you'll see here that we have all our different slides. And if you affect one of these layouts, it will then affect all of them. So I can affect this one. This one's the blank one I use, and it even highlights which one you're using in your presentation. So take a moment, add some content to your slide, and then we'll take this theme and we will make our own customized designs here.
In this next section, we're going to learn about the theme builder in Google Slides. It's a powerful tool that lets you control the overall design and layout of your presentation. You can think of it as your design control center. So what it does is it allows you to have consistency, where you can set default fonts, colors, backgrounds, and layouts so that every slide automatically follows the same design. Also, in the theme builder, you can work with the master slide here. You'll see it right up top. And this allows for you to make changes to all of the layouts at once. So when you change anything on this master slide, every slide that uses the layout updates automatically. And this just allows for us to really save time so that we don't have to format slide by slide. You can now customize the slide master once and it will affect all of them. So to do this, the first thing I want to do is maybe I want my colors to be different for my titles. I'm going to select the title here in the slide master. I'm going to go over and let's do a blue font. So on my quick access, I'll go to text color. I'm just going to make it blue. And maybe I also want the titles to be bold. And you'll notice that as I'm doing this, throughout the entire slide deck, it's now updating all of the slides at once. You can also start to customize your bullet points too. Maybe for these ones, I want it to be a nice gray color. And then for the background, or you know what, let's do a white color here for my slides. And then for the actual slide itself, the background, I'll make that a light gray. So it looks just like this. This looks great. So now I have a really cool design. All of my slides have that grayish background with our white font color for our text and bullets, and then a blue font color for our titles. One last thing we can do here using these themes is we're more than welcome to design using different shapes. I'm going to show you a technique right now. It's a really great one where we can take up some of the space. So what I'll do is I'm going to go over, and I don't want this really on this slide. I just want it on these ones, right? This slide right here is going to be my title slide. So I just want it to be a title. But for this slide, you'll see I'm using that for slide number 2. I actually want to insert a shape. I'm just going to do a little square here, or rectangle, right on the bottom here. I'm just going to get it so that it can even be offset. That's okay too if you want it. And then we'll make that maybe we'll make that a darker blue. So I'm going to do a solid color background fill here. And let's do the dark blue. That way we're staying consistent. And the really cool thing we're going to do now is add a logo in. So I'm going to go over to my Insert tab, do an image from my computer. I'll just choose a picture. I have the company logo right here. And I'm going to take that, I'm actually going to put it right down here. I'm going to make it a little smaller, make it a little smaller, and there it is. So that looks great so far. And you can change those, right? You can go into your formatting options for your actual image here, and maybe you want to recolor it, or maybe you want to change the adjustments to it, the opacity, maybe no recolor, whatever you like. But I think this is starting to look good. We now have some branding here. We have a nice theme going. And now let's do this. Let's be done with this part. I'm just going to copy and paste it just in case I'm using another type of, slide here. So I'll go back over to my view, theme builder. I'm going to come over and see which slide is using number 3. So this is number 2. Scroll down a little bit. And number 3 was using a blank. So we can just take this, copy it, Control C for copy, and then I'll just paste it here. And then same thing here. I'll take the image, copy, and put it right here. Just like that. That way, now it's consistent on these slides. And you can just exit out of this. You can even rename your themes if you want to. So if you wanted to just call this my special theme or Joe's theme or anything you like, you can. And then you can go in back to your regular PowerPoint. So here we go to our presentation. This looks great. And we have a nice little theme. So we're really coming along here. Like I said, the theme builder in Google Slides, super powerful. It'll let you edit things right away. If you wanted to, you can change this too, because those were only for the bullet points. If you want these to be a white font color, you're more than welcome to. For this theme, I don't mind. I like my bullet points like this, but if I don't have bullet points, this looks good as well. Or if I do change this to bullet points, I'll show you what's going to happen. I'll go change it to bullet points. You'll see a bunch of bullets here. You can just delete those out and then just do spacing. If you don't like the changes, you can always use Control Z if you didn't want it. And now we have an awesome looking slide. So take a moment, try this out on your own, make some designs. There's flooring techniques. You can do all different types of techniques with shapes. You can do call outs. I also really like the fact that with shapes, when you build them, you can just start typing on them and you can make your own like titles. So for instance, I'll show you a nice little example of this where we can insert just a blank slide. I can then go in, instead of putting a text box, I'll put a shape. I'll do rounded border here. And you can offset it a little bit. And then I'll just say my title. And you can make that bigger, of course. I'll increase that font size, make it blue, maybe bold it, and then you can offset it as much as you want. And I know it's going to look funny here, but if I go to my slide, right, and I would just want to change the theme or apply, anything to it, you're more than welcome to. If I run my slide though, however, look how nice that looks. And I'll have a nice little title. So you can really just mess around with these, make your own different designs, or as always, you could go to slide, you can go to change the theme, edit the theme, or go to view to get back to that theme builder. So it's all based around those themes. I'm going to actually delete this. I'll just right click, choose delete, and there we go. We're now back to our regular slideshow. Now that we've actually created the content, we've added some speaker notes, we've added images, the next thing is to really focus on transitions, right? Transitions in Google Slides are visual effects that occur as you move from one slide to the next. And they serve several purposes, whether you want to enhance visual flow, right? Making it just smoother and more engaging, that helps your audience follow along with you as you go through your presentation. You can also use it to really signal that there's a change in a topic or a section or a tone. This gives that cue that the focus is shifting. And also, it's just professional looking, right? We can add it as a dynamic feel to your presentation without really overwhelming the content. So to create a transition, you can either go over to your transition here. You see the buttons readily available on our quick access. We can change those transitions. Or we can also go over to the slide menu and you'll see transitions right here at the bottom. Now the transitions will open up the transition pane whether you click here or you click on slide and you choose transition. Does the same thing. And as of right now, there are no transitions to this. So if I was just to run this slideshow, this is what it would look like. Kind of just jumps, right, to the next slide. Instead, I'm going to click the drop down and I'll choose to have either dissolve, fade, slide from right, slide from left, flip, cube, or gallery. Now there's not so many options here because you don't want to overwhelm or have too many different transitions as you go through your presentation. Best practice is to pick a transition that you feel is right for this presentation and stay consistent with it throughout the entire presentation. So for me, I'll choose fade. You can choose how slow it is or how fast it can be. And then you can choose apply to all slides and it will immediately apply to each one. You'll know that it has applied because you'll see here the little icon for motion which indicates that there's an actual transition there. So now let's take a look at what my slideshow would look like. So you'll see starting from the beginning here, it does a nice little transition instead of just stop. You can see it gets dark and then it goes to the next. And once again, you can always change this if you want to. You can go in and slow this down. Maybe I want it to be medium. Let's see what it would look like now. Like that. And I think that's a little too slow, but totally up to you once again, however you like to use it. So I'll go to this one. I'm going to make sure it is about 1.5 seconds and apply that to all. That way they're all consistent. So take a moment, try this out on your own. When we come back, we're going to talk about how we can now add animations to our presentations. Animations help us to really focus on the content piece by piece. For instance, if I just put this slide up just the way it is, and everything's already on there, everyone's going to be focusing on reading what's on the slide than focusing on me giving the presentation. It's going to be a lot easier if you reveal each topic independently, that way you could talk to it. Really, Google Slides allows for us to stay on point during our presentation. So when we go in and we reveal each slide, we can then talk to it. So here's an example of what I would do here. I would go in, click on one of my bullet points, I'm going to go over to the animations, which is in the slide, and you'll see transition, which can open up your animation object animations as well. You can also find it in the insert, and you'll find animations here. So two places, but if you did the same thing, it would just open up the same thing here. So whether you choose transition and you get to animations, or if you go over to the, once again, insert, animations, it's up to you. Just make sure you're clicked into something and then you'll see animations are available. Once we click into the animations, it'll open up our pane again. We see our slide transition is fade, and now we see here our object animations. We can go in and say, okay, how do we want these animations to appear? On the click, not on the click. And you can also have multiple animations too if you want to keep adding to them. So for this one, I'll say once I click, and we can even play it to see what it will look like. You'll see once I click, they all pop up. And even though that's a next step from what we had, it still doesn't make sense because when I click, they're all going to be on there, all of the content. So instead, what I'll do is I'll say appear, I'm going to make sure that they fly in from the bottom. I'm going to then say I want it to be on the click so I can control when they come out. But I'm going to choose for them to be by paragraph. And this is important because right now it's treating the whole thing as one animation. If we say by paragraph, then it'll do each bullet point on its own because they technically say that's a paragraph each one. So I can do that. And now when I play this, this is what it looks like. I can go 1, talk about defining nanotechnology, 2, talk about the types of nanomaterial, and 3, talk about applications of nanotechnology. So we can now really focus on announcing the topic, speaking to it, and then announcing the next topic, speaking. You can even say, hey, are there any questions on nanotechnology? So I can go in, and this is what my slideshow would look like. I'd go here, do my slide, I'd say, okay, today's agenda of the presentation, first off, we're talking about defining nanotechnology. Any questions on that? Then we're going to be talking about types of nanomaterials and also applications of nanotechnology. Any questions on what we're going to be going over, or is there anything else that you would like to have me talk about for today's presentation? So see, you can make it very engaging with the audience by doing it this way, revealing each topic. So I'm going to do the same thing. I'll go to my next slide, and you'll see we have 3 different things we're talking about. I'll just click into one, click on Add Animation, choose which one I want, and I like the appear one, that's good, but you can also do like a fly in from the bottom on my click, by paragraph, and just play it, just make sure it's going the right way, and then you'll actually click to see. Perfect. That's exactly the speed I want, everything's good. So I could stop that, and we're all set. So now as I go through this, I'm going to be able to reveal each topic, announce it, talk about it, and then take questions if there are any. So take a moment and try this out on your own, and then we're going to get into a more advanced way of doing animations. So we just saw how animations can really help us to reveal each topic independently. What I want to talk to you about next is how we can add more than one animation to an object. So I'm just going to create a slide here. You can create a blank slide or whatever slide you like. It's always going to pick the one that you used last. So I'm just going to change this. I'm going to go over to my slide and I'll change that layout to, I'll do maybe, yeah, I think this one's good, title and body. And then I'll just make this a little shorter. So I'm going to make the title up to here and the body up to here. That way we can add an image. So I'll just say that these are my favorite animals. We're going to switch gears because we'll delete this afterwards, but let's get into something a little more simple for this example. So my favorite animals, I'm going to actually go and add in some bullet points here. So I'll insert maybe just a couple bullet points. It doesn't matter which ones you want. You know what? Let's do this instead. Let's type in some information. Let's do my favorite animals. I'll say dogs, cats, and snakes. Then we can go in and let's add in bullet points here. And then you could just delete these ones out. And if you want to have some spacing, just do an extra space. I'm pressing enter twice. That way it looks a little more balanced and not crammed together. And what I want to do is, as I'm putting my animations here, maybe I want to talk about dogs first and then have a picture of a dog. Then the dog disappears and the cats come and then the cat picture comes and then snake. So we're going to have a lot of animation on this. The first thing I want to do is animate dogs only. So I'm going to click. I will do by paragraph again. And I'm going to have it fly in from, we'll do this time the right. Or you know what? Let's do from the bottom still. We'll keep it consistent. So when we play this, it goes 1, 2, 3, right? But what I want to do here is I actually want to have each object on its own. So how do I do that? Well, you can add an animation for each one. So this one's talking about the entire piece, and then this one would be talking about the image. The problem is because this is all in one text box, we're not going to be able to go in and just do dogs, cats, or snakes, unless when we click on it, we're not just clicking on the actual text box, we're highlighting the word dogs. And then we can add the animation just to the word dogs. And I'm going to choose for that to fly in from the bottom on my click and click play. And let's see if it's going to work nicely. And it looks like it's still not. So if that does happen to you, that's okay. A quick fix for this would be to create each individual box. All right. Because if we do it by paragraph, you'll see it's going to do the same thing we wanted before, where we can do 1, 2, 3. But then we can't have anything in between those. So instead, I'm going to delete out that. All of this can be deleted. And a quick way to do this is, since we already have it set up the way we want to, we can actually just Control D to duplicate it for the next one. And then Control D to duplicate for the next one. So you don't have to constantly take too much time. Then I'll just go in. I'm going to make sure that they are consistent with each other. Same thing with this one. And I love the guiding lines there. I'll make this a little bigger because it does look like it is a smaller font. Let's go with 14 for all of them. And if it does that, just keep forcing it. You can get it to 14. For some reason it doesn't like that it's a smaller box, but you'll be fine with that. And then we could just change this to cats. And then change this to snakes. So now they're each in their own. So once I click on this one, now I can add my animation, fly in from the bottom, on click, go to this one, add the animation, fly in from the bottom, unclick, and then just go to this one. And same thing, add animation from the bottom, unclick. Now if we were to play these all, they're all in this order. So if I play it, it'll do the same thing that we did before, right? Dogs, then cats, then snakes. But this time, I'm going to add in an animation for each of these. I'm going to go to Insert, and we're going to insert an image, and we can search the web. I'm going to search for dogs. That's a cute dog. And insert the image. And we'll put it right here. Now that we have this image, we can actually add an animation to it. I'm going to choose for it to fly in, we'll say fly in from the right. And I'm going to now move this. So once you have your image animated, you can see here that we can click and drag. So now it'll be dogs, the image. We'll then do the next image, right? We want this also to fly out, right? Because we don't want it to be on the page anymore. So you can add another animation. We're going to choose this time the fly out to the right. So the first one's fly in, this one's flying out. And once again on my click, once you're done, click away, and we'll move it here. So that's going to be consistent. We're going to fly in the dog, the word dog, then we're going to fly in the picture, and then fly it out. Fly in the cat, now we'll add in a picture of a cat. And we'll just search cats. Let's go with this one. And you can resize it. And I know it's going to look funny right now because, once again, it's on top of it. But once we start to animate things, we're going to have this fly in from the right. And then we're going to add another animation where we have it fly out from the right. And then you'll just move those to where they're supposed to be. And we'll move this one here. Now for the last one, the snake, we don't really have to fly it out, so that's a good thing. We just have to fly it in. So we're going to insert a picture of a python. That looks great. Let's go with, oh, this is a cute little fella here, so we'll use that one. Once again, we'll put that there. And then we'll add an animation to this picture. This will be a fly in from the right. And now we have it all in a nice order where, let's run this presentation, my favorite animals. First, I'm going to talk about dogs. They're cute, they're loyal, then it flies it out. Next, we're going to talk about cats. And then we have the cat. Last but not least, we'll talk about snakes. Now we have the snake, and then that's it. That's the end. So, as you can see, we can really get a little more complex with these animations. Being able to fly things in, fly things out, make them do things. So this is just a great way to add more control to your animations and to what you want to present and when you want to present it. Take a moment, make an exercise like this, maybe not your favorite animals unless you want to, or maybe do something like, your favorite foods, and just add in a couple of pictures and then have them in sequential order go through the different animations. We've done so much in Google Slides. We've added in our titles, we've added in our speaker notes, our content, images, we've then designed our slides, we've then added transitions and also animations. The next thing we're going to talk about is actually running the slideshow. So, as you notice, wherever you're selected, it'll have a border around. And if you want to run your slideshow, you can choose to run it at any point that you're clicked on. You can go over to Slideshow and click Start Slideshow. Now start it from wherever you're selected on. You can also click the little drop down and start the slideshow from the beginning. That way, if you have like 30 slides and you're on slide 29, you don't have to go all the way back and click on one. You could just start it right there from the beginning without clicking. So I'm going to do this. Afterwards, we will talk about the presenter view. This is an awesome view. I'll show you what it looks like on my end to your audience. But for now, let's start a presentation and talk about some of the tools. So as I started from the beginning, you have full control of this presentation. You can use your mouse wheel to go through to the next. So if you do have a mouse wheel, you can do that. You can just do a simple click. I like the mouse wheel because you don't have to hear the click, right? Here you can hear the click. And that can be a little distracting. Another way to do this, besides just using the click or the mouse wheel, is you can use your arrow keys. I can use the right arrow to move forward, or I can use the left arrow to go back. If you press the W on your keyboard, this will white out the screen. This is good for capturing your audience's attention again. You could do a whiteout, or you can also do a blackout if you press B. So W for whiteout, B for blackout. Why do they have both? Well, just in case, I did this once, it was funny. When you're given a presentation, if you're in a very well-lit room, use the blackout. Everyone will kind of look at you like, what just happened? And then you can have them focus on you. You can say whatever you need to, and then press B again, and it goes straight back to the presentation. If you're in a dark room, right, you don't want to press blackout because then it's going to get really dark and people are going to be like, whoa, what happened to the lights? So I would use, if you're in a darker room, the whiteout. If you're in a well-lit room, the blackout. And you can do that anywhere during your presentation. So I can go through, I can be talking, and then I could say, that's our agenda for today. Any questions, anyone? Awesome. Okay, let's get right back into it. And then, boom. So those are fun little shortcuts. Once you go through your entire presentation, towards the end, what you can do is you can go in and press the escape key to exit and go back to your editing view. Right, so that's just some of the actual commands for the slideshow. As I said before, really cool things you can do are black out, white out, just use your mouse wheel or your arrow keys, or if you do want to use the clicker, you're more than welcome to. Running a presentation with Google Slides is great. As you just saw, we can quickly run through our content and really take the pace of the entire presentation. But sometimes people are nervous about presenting, right? They might, say a lot of filler words, or they might be really nervous where they forget exactly what they want to say. That's why I always tell people to use speaker notes. See, if you are nervous about running a presentation, Google Slides has an awesome feature, if you click on the drop-down, called Presenter View. This allows for us to start a slideshow with our speaker notes and the audience Q&A built into it. So I showed you how we can run a regular presentation. I want to show you this one now because it's really neat. I'm going to click on Presenter View here, and you'll see we get our regular presentation the way you saw it before, but we also get a little presenter view here where we can see the slide we're on. We can quickly switch between slides if we need to. We can also see our speaker notes. We can pause the timer, reset the timer, see what's coming up next. And in the audience tools, we can actually start a new audience tool where we can turn on some questions. They can go to this link right here and they can start asking a question to me. They can even be anonymous if they want, or they can ask something like, hey, so what exactly is nanotech for? And they can submit that. And then I'll see that on my end as well. So this is a really cool feature. I like to use it often. And then you can exit out of there. You can see up here now on the slide, it'll say you can go here. So if they have their cell phones or something, they can quickly do that. So a couple other things. Let's say I'm running this in Presenter View. You would have this, of course, somewhere else. So I can put it on the side of my screen. And then I can say, okay, welcome everyone. I hope everyone's having a great day. Today we're talking about understanding nanotechnology, exploring the basics and uses of nanotechnology. You can then go to the next slide. So our presentation today, we're going to be talking about, and then you can go through the next section, defining nanotechnology. We're going to be talking about types of nanomaterials, and we'll also be talking about applications of nanotechnology. So let's start off with the definition and some of the basic concepts of nanotechnology. And look at all my notes here. I can actually just read straight from them, or I can use them if I do lose train of thought. I can just look over. So the first thing we're going to talk about is, what is nanotechnology? Nanotechnology is the science of manipulating matter on an atomic and molecular scale. We're also going to be talking about some of the applications of nanotechnology. See, it has many applications in various fields, whether it be, medicine or electronics or even material science. We are constantly pushing the boundaries of what nanotechnology can do for us. And if you're wondering, well, what can it really do? Well, it actually enhances properties. So when we manipulate materials at a nanoscale, researchers can actually develop substances with improved characteristics like strength or conductivity or even reactivity. See what I did there? So even if I'm getting nervous or I don't know what I'm going to say next, or you start hearing yourself do a lot of like filler words, right? That happens often. You can take a beat, catch a breath, and know that you have your speaker notes right here. That's why I tell people, pour a lot of information into your speaker notes. Don't pour a lot onto the slide. Keep your slides very nice, neat. You don't want to overcrowd them because of this right here. This is a game changer when it comes to presenting. Once you're done, just click the X. You can escape, and you're back to your editing. When using Google Slides, we saw that we can quickly present, we can use presenter views, which is great. But it's not always that we're creating these presentations to actually present them. Sometimes we might be creating them for someone else to view, or maybe we're creating them as just a nice way to give resources out. Instead of having, a full notebook full of notes, we can create a nice presentation that can explain a new project or policy that's going on in a company. So I want to show you another way that we can give this out to people instead of presenting it. It's known as sharing, right? Now, sharing has a couple of different options. We can either share a slide for them to actually view the information, or we can share where they're going to actually help us build the presentation. So it depends on what you're using it for. Do you want to work with a coworker or a friend and collaborate on some sort of presentation together? Then you're sharing it with editing rights. Do you just want to give the information to your coworkers because it's important? Then you're going to give them view rights. Now to actually share, you're going to go to the top left-hand corner here and you'll see the share button. You can click that share button and it'll just open up and it'll say, well, first off, you need to name your document. So I'm just going to name this our example presentation. That sounds good. And I'll say save. Now it'll ask me who I want to share this with, and I can start typing in anyone's name for my company and it'll pull it up. Once I do start adding them, I can then choose what kind of access they have. So if I type in my friend, let's say Joe, which is me, I can then choose, should Joe have editor rights, viewer rights where they can just view the slide deck, they can't really do anything, commenter rights where they can view it and they can make comments, say, hey, maybe change this or that, or editing rights where they can change it themselves. You can also give them a little message as to why you're sharing the presentation with them. If you don't want to add people individually, and maybe you have to send this out to like 25 people, you can copy a link instead. Just be sure that you go to your settings and you choose what editors can do and what viewers can do. When you do this, also anyone with the link you can say, and then you can choose what their role is. Are they viewer, commenter, or editor? Then you can copy the link. So anyone on the internet with the link can view. So I copy it, and now I can give that out to somebody. Or, once again, restricted, I want only people with access can open up the link. I can then choose who has access. And then you click done. Besides sharing a presentation or just showcasing a slideshow, we can also print out our slide decks. Now, we don't see this too often anymore, like where you print out an entire deck, on paper, but you can still print things to PDF. So if you go to File, you can go over to Print, or Control P as a keyboard shortcut, or even on our Quick Access toolbar, you'll see the little printer icon. Once you click on that, it'll say taking a few moments, it's going to generate what it would look like. You can do black and white, or you could say I want it in color. And then you can go in and you could choose either an actual printer or a PDF. So now it's saved as a PDF instead, and you can send this out. This is great for when you want to send things out instead of sharing them, and you don't want people editing them. I can click save, and then it'll save it. So take a moment, try that out, and when we come back, we're going to actually get out of this file and take a look at some of the really cool templates that Google has created for us. There are so many different templates that Google Slides gives for us, so I know that we created our own design here, but let's say we didn't really have time, or maybe we are on a time crunch for this. So you'll see here a bunch of templates in our landing page where they have your big idea or photo album or wedding or portfolio, and you can go in and you can actually see all the different presentations they have, whether you want to create a recipe cookbook or a yearbook, recipe showcase. You have so many different options. These are going to be more for personal use. If you want more of a business use case, you're going to use the work section, prototype presenting, or case studies, or consulting proposal, or maybe a pitch. So let's say that I need to do some sort of consulting proposal. You can see there's two here. You can pick whichever one you want, but as we go through, you'll also see like education, lesson plans. They have so many, student certificate, flashcards. That one's a pretty nice one. But let's go over to consult proposing. Give that a click. And you'll see that now we have a ton of slides and a certain theme that goes with those slides. They give you about 20 slides total, with already having imagery here. You can see that for this one, they'll showcase the team, and they're going into each individual skill set. Skill A, skill B, skill C, skill D. You can even put in information, their title, and a picture of them. And up here we have one for the vision. This is really nice. You can choose whatever, and you can change anything just by clicking into it and edit anything you like. Deliverables, processes, proposed solutions, and everything you just click into. That's the best part about this. You click in, you replace this with whatever you want. So it's a nice theme. It looks really good. And as we go through, you'll see here they have some formatting up top. We can click into things, right, to link to it, which is nice. You can link into each one. So if somebody's like, this is what's on the agenda today, they're like, oh, can we quickly see the vision? I can skip straight to the vision. And then I can go back. Or the deliverables, and then go back. So really cool options as you use some of these templates. Thank you everyone for being here and watching our Google Slides course. I hope you got a lot out of this course, and if you have any questions, of course, feel free to put them in the comments. As always, stay safe, stay healthy, and I'll see you all next time. Happy learning. Thanks everyone.